Okay, welcome back to Lead the Meerkats. You may have noticed that this is a voiceover because the audio just got so bad. I'm going to try to fix that for next time, but episodes 2 and 3 are both going to be like this. So, sincerest apologies, I don't really know what happened with it. So instead we have background savannah noises, basically. I'm flying by the seat of my pants. I watched the footage once, and mostly what we're missing out on is my commentary. So I'm just going to try to recreate that, and this might be a little bit more chatty-like because of the nature of the voiceover. So I think I'm going to get started pretty quick here. Yeah. So we still have pups here. We haven't named any of the pups yet. I decided to keep the naming scheme a secret for the time being until our first little pup grows up. I did take it from the comments. It is an idea that I thought about, but hopefully you guys will like it. Hopefully you lot will like it here. We are... It's a cool idea. I combined a couple of ideas, so hopefully you lot will like it. Right now we're just trying to create as many little baby meerkats as we can, so we need to get as much food as we can. And once again, I cannot shake the controller because it does not work on the emulator as far as I can tell. It might work. Someone tell me, actually, if it works, because it would be really nice to be able to do this stuff faster, but we'll just assume that this meerkat can't do that. We'll also begin to see me forget the controls because it was a little while since I recorded this episode from when I recorded the first episode, so I immediately forgot everything but the most basic controls. There's a whole segment I had to cut out where I was just fighting with the controller and I opened the Wii menu a bunch of times, which is funny because this is not even on a Wii. So we're just seeing Sunny and Munster gather up some food here. Someone in the comments gave the suggestion that maybe Munster is from a pack of meerkats named entirely after food or cheese. I went with a cheese idea. And it is now canon that Munster's father was named Limburger. And if you don't know what Limburger is, it is a kind of very potent, very stinky cheese that is made only in a couple places in the world. So there's a fun little tidbit for you. And then Sunny probably is from a pack named after weather, and we can just assume that maybe these types of naming schemes are a little universal across them. So I don't have any canonical parent names for Sunny's parents or their siblings. Uh, Cloudy, maybe. Who knows? But we're just trying to get as many as we can right now. Looks like we're at 138%. We're trying to catch little beetles, so we're going to send Munster on his own with that one because he can catch that on his own, and then I'm going to catch this one on my own. Or Sunny is. I am not Sunny. I'm just playing as Sunny. We're going to take that back. And we have so many little pupperinos around here. We gotta catch a centipede. You know, just normal commentary stuff that you're missing out on. I will talk to fill the time. I will. Everyone knows that I do not shut up. There was a lot more silence in the actual recording because I'm so focused on the game, but now I can just talk forever. So we're taking that back. Want to make sure. Think we will have enough time to get to 200% today. We're getting pretty close. Reasonably sure we'll make it. Someone else in the comments pointed out or mentioned that they had watched Meerkat Manor as a child, and I did too. I watched the heck out of Meerkat Manor. Around the time I was watching it, there was a meerkat, I think by the name of Mozart, and if I recall correctly, gotta send Munster after that, If I recall correctly, there was a point where Mozart had like died defending the pups or something like that. And then there was like this whole internet controversy about if they had actually died. And we did get to 200% here, over 200% even. But if they had actually died or if they had just gone missing, and apparently the show had a problem of actually keeping track of which meerkat was which, and I think that was also around the time when I stopped watching, just because I was so confused. I was very upset about Mozart dying, and I was very confused about if they were actually dead or not, and I did not have the ability to tell them that far apart. We're actually getting a fair amount over 200%, which is really good for our quote-unquote bottom line here. I'm just seeing what we can get done. We're going place to place to see if there's anywhere else that food will magically appear, but we've checked all these spots before, so I suspect that nothing else is going to spawn, and we're really running low on daylight. It's getting to that last dark point. So now I'm starting to think if I should expand the burrow. Yeah, here I'm about to expand the burrow, except that I can't figure out the controls, and you'll notice it'll cut because I spent... Yeah, it cuts because I spent all of the remaining night fighting with the controls. So we did get over 200%. We now have, it'll be 5 meerkats. And I'm really starting to thinking about moving moving the burrows along. So it's now time to name our new meerkat. And now that we have more than 2, I have to learn a whole new control, which I immediately mess up. So, the naming scheme we did decide on was insect themes and alphabetical. I'm going to try my best to name Lady, and I said that Ladybug would make a great name for when we get to the L's. So we name our first meerkat baby Ant, and we're doing alphabetical order, so A, B, C, D, and insect names. So now we have Ant and Munster following Sunny around here. So I'm going to try to name them by generation. And see, I'm fighting with the controls again. It's just been a little while since I played last, so I'm having a hard time figuring it out. But I'm going to try to keep it, not generation, but litter. So Ant is the only meerkat pup born or that grew up at the same time, so they're going to be the only A name. I think B is also going to be one B name, and then I think we have 2 C names. So yeah, we're going to have 2 C names because we just got 200%, so when they grow up, it'll be 2 meerkat pups to a litter. So they'll both have a C name, and we could do like caterpillar or cockroach. I was having a hard time coming up with C names, I will recall, but I think that happens next episode. Yeah, problem with the voiceover is that it's hard to keep track, and you'll see me immediately struggle with trying to control more than 2 meerkats, and here I am still trying to figure out this burrow thing. I think you have to connect to this. You can't just... Yeah, you can't just dig straight from it, so I give up on it in search of food instead. But I am starting to think about expanding the burrow so that we can get a move on, since we're having a hard time with food. I don't know why he did that. To this day, I do not know why he was patrolling like that. I eventually figured out how to make him stop, but gosh. Sometimes the controls were fighting with me, so... Now we're going to start expanding the den, and I want to pull it as far as I want, but I don't want to put it in the thing itself, so I pull it back just a little bit so it's next to. And it gives me some information about how to do what I'm doing, except with the wrong controls because it's an emulator. So I'm sending Munster to do that while Ant is digging the burrow, and Sunny's scouting ahead for more food, and also for the greatest path forward. At this point, I haven't really realized where I need to be going. I just know it's vaguely in this direction. So Sunny's keeping an eye on things while that's happening. And I'm thinking about expanding it one more time. Munster, meanwhile, is waiting for Sunny to help out with carrying that food back. Problem with being in the Meerkat in control is that you're in charge of everything, and Sunny has clearly just forgotten Munster exists. So now I'm starting to look at the map, and I realize that there's two paths to go. Do I want to go straight up and over, or through this kind of windy place where I've been looking for food? And I decide that I think I'm going to go upwards because I take the windy path all the time to look for food. So this will kind of make me branch out a little bit. And then I'll just look for food on that path. So we decide that we're going to go upwards. I'm scouting out a little bit, see a little niblet of food. Realize that I need to take that somewhere. And then finally Sunny realizes that they've left Munster to their own devices. And then Sunny's going to try to expand that den one or two more times here. So we're going to take it underneath this big bluff here. Shortcut. Always take the shortcuts if you can. And then she's sending either her son or her husband out that way. Sometimes their names disappear, and I never quite figured out why. Sometimes if they disappear off screen or they go in the burrow, their names disappear. But I never quite figured out why. You can turn them off and on again, and it fixes it, because of course it does. Snake does a little flip. When I first saw the snakes, it really freaked me out. Whoop, you dropped it. And I guess they're just taking it. Sunny is off to their own devices again. When I first saw the snake as prey, though, it freaked me out because later in the game there's a cobra that, like, attacks you. And it, very, very much scared me. So Munster and Ant are taking that over, and Sunny's going to look about expanding the den, but then immediately get distracted by what I presume is a tarantula, but it turns out to be a centipede instead. Ant's getting this. Sunny's just waiting around to help bring it back, but I'm starting to get anxious about expanding the den again. So we're going to try for one or two more big pushes. We're just scouting ahead, looking for food, and hoping to figure out where it is we're going. And I see it in the upper right corner there. So they're focusing on food, but Sunny's already seen the destination. So I think we're just going to move the den. Or maybe we're checking again. I get so distracted by food. So there's the den. We want to go there. You're doing that. Sunny's going to send Munster over. Or Sunny's just going to send them to the thing again. And then they're going to send Munster to dig the next tunnel. I'm going to bring that up as far as we can. And then it freaks out on me. So I have to stop early. I was hoping to get it a little bit further, but the controls just were not vibing with me. Not even a little bit. Then it's starting to get really dark. This is like the absolute end of the day, and I'm trying my hardest to get to this checkpoint here. But also getting distracted by food, because of course. It'd be funny if they could eat the fireflies, but they're just kind of there to be pretty. So I'm trying to take it over, and it is not letting me send it there. You see it's doing the same thing it was doing earlier when it was freaking out on me. And I just couldn't get it in time. So we did get, what was that, 130%? I wasn't looking. I've been distracted. I've been chatting. But the episode's going to end pretty quick here. Let's see there. We know that I have to get a little further along. And here I am begging for insect names for D, E, and F, because honestly, I can't think of more than two. Well, actually, at the time, I couldn't think of one insect that starts with a D, and now I immediately thought of two, dragonfly and damselfly. But give me some suggestions for F and G especially. But that's going to be the end of the episode, and I'll see y'all next time, alright?